Welcome to Straight Up Reviews, where there's no bullshit beyond the sign. This is a short one as I only seen the trailer, but as soon as I see the movie I will give it a full version of my thoughts. This segment is what I like to call Before and After. Inspired by a Nostalgia Critic's Cloverfield trailer review, as well as his later review of the movie, I took a look at an upcoming movie trailer and prepared to give my thoughts on the matter. Michael Bay, I've been wanting to take a crack at you for a while. Don't get me wrong, there are some movies you made that I like, such as Bad Boys, Armageddon, and Transformers, but for some reason, you seem like the go-between between the best and worst Hollywood has to offer. If Ed Wood and Uwe Ball were the worst, and Spielberg was considered one of the best, you would be the lukewarm. However, surprisingly, it's when you're producing we film enthusiasts are at our most terrified, even though you're simply guilty of paying for the franchise. The Friday the 13th reboot, which I still like, has been given the boot because your name was simply on it. I have yet to see the Elm Street reboot, but it borders the same problem. However, this is the motherlode. The one movie that fans are divided between will it suck, or will it be an exception like Transformers 1? Case in point, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Much like James Roth and Doug Walker, I myself got introduced to the series through reruns of the Fred Wolf cartoon. But what really got me into it was the 1990s Jim Henson puppetry one. I even wrote a seer claiming that Nim may have created Splinter. Upon hearing that Michael Bay was attached to it as a producer, at first I could think of how the hell is he gonna fuck this one up. And then they mentioned that they were gonna be aliens. I was just as pissed as anyone. But upon seeing the trailer, I eased up a bit the second I saw a familiar object, but I'll get to that later. The trailer starts out with an old man talking to April O'Neil about creating heroes. There are the standard base stuff such as helicopters and explosions, but also glimpses of the turtle before ending with Michelangelo trying to calm April down upon seeing him for the first time. This movie is being funded by Paramount Pictures and Nickelodeon, which collaborated before on many movies in the 90s and 2000s, such as my personal favorites of the bunch Snow Day and Harriet the Spy. However, since Nick had the rights to the Turtles at the time, it's no surprise that they're on board. However, what did surprise me is that Nickelodeon, while known for making kid-friendly cartoons and shows with traces of adult humor, is making a film that, judging by the tone, is dark and gritty like the original comics, but slightly lighthearted thanks to the Turtles. Though if it's not their first time doing something dark, let me know what is, because it came out of left field for me as a former Nickelodeon fan. Now, I'm a bit lukewarm on this one because Bay has lured with cool before, many times. However, they did show me a few things familiar as a Turtle fan. Before I say them, though, I want to settle something on the matter. As ridiculous as it sounds, the Turtles, while mutants on Earth, were created by aliens. A company called TCRI was a front for an alien race called the Ultrons in the original comic, and they accidentally created a chemical that made the Turtles and Splinter what they are today. The Ultrons were also what inspired the creation of Krang in the Fred Wolf cartoon. With that said, among most things, including Megan Fox and April's trademark yellows, one of the things I saw was a canister full of green chemical with the marking TCRI on it. So rest assured, they are trying to make it close to the franchise as possible. Now into the movie itself in the trailer. I didn't know what to expect. After the Muppets and its sequel were successful, I was hoping that it would be like the 90s movie. Don't get me wrong, I know why people like that one, I just never could get into it myself. However, they took a third option, having CGI suit characters in a live-action setting, which works because it helps the Turtles become more expressionable than they ever would through puppetry. However, we're not out of the woods yet, ladies and gentlemen, for we have to see this movie in order to get a full opinion on the matter. As usual, debate, argue, and let me know what I missed. Stay tuned for more. Now, I know you're thinking, White Shredder? You do realize that the first person to ever play Shredder at all was Uncle Phil, right?